Behind the brand, baby. Watch it. Tell your friends about it.
Hey everyone, coming to you live from my kitchen at AKA, who's also a sponsor of this episode. Here's an honest review of one of my favorite places to stay, run by some of the best people I know. Seriously. If you're someone like me who needs a place to work and live for a week or longer, I travel a lot doing these stories, you know, I would highly recommend a stay at AKA. The truth is, I can't stand renting someone else's room because it never really feels clean. At AKA, you don't have to compromise because you get the best of both worlds. The best night's sleep in a sparkling clean room, space to spread out like it's your own home, full kitchen with all the amenities and service of a luxury hotel and more. With locations in New York City, Los Angeles, London, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. and more, just go to stayaka.com and check them out. And when you put in the special promo code BRAND, that's B-R-A-N-D, listeners of Behind the Brand get an exclusive rate. Happy traveling.
Hey, I'm Grant Cardone, and you're watching Behind the Brand with Brian Elliott.
I mean, we were just sitting back, you know, chopping it up, reminiscing about the good old days and all that. You know, tracking my roots, where I came from and where I'm going.
Hey everyone, I'm Brian Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here with the one and only Grant Cardone. Grant, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
I usually ask my guests, how'd you get this job?
Yeah. How did I get this job? I don't know. Like, it's been 30 years just figuring out where I'm going. Had no idea I would be doing what I'm doing today, what I'm doing, 30 years ago. I had ambition, like your audience is ambitious. So I've always been ambitious. I've always wanted more for myself and my family, and just been kind of stumbling along, trying to figure out how to get there.
So you're prolific online. You're always doing this with the camera, talking direct to camera, or you're being filmed somewhere. You're on stage in front of thousands of people at your 10X conferences.
Yeah.
But let's take a
tens of thousands of people there. So
tens of thousands of people.
Right.
Of course,
it's a big difference. Like we did LA this weekend, Sunday. There was 3,000 people there. We did Miami in February. There was 35,000. I mean, those are like completely different experiences.
Yeah, you can't get baseball teams to fill up stadiums like that.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
But my first gig had 7 people in it. So I've had that whole transition from, talking to a handful of people to, figuring out how do you fill a stadium up.
Yeah. So let's take that back in the chronology as far as you want to go back.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about origin stories. I know you've talked about your story. I think you're probably, in my opinion, one of the few guys that's really willing to be vulnerable, to basically spill your guts.
I was in my second year of college. I was completely lost. I had lost my way. I had lost my purpose. I had lost any sense of myself. I was trying to get other people to like me. Lost the idea that my dreams could become true. I don't even think I knew what my dreams were anymore. I'd had a couple of really big losses in my life. I'd lost my dad when I was 10, and then lost my older brother when I was 20 years old. He was 25, and he was both of these guys were my role models.
So take us back for my audience who doesn't know your origin, your humble beginnings, your troubled beginnings.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. And,
my life has been very, very hard. And I grew up in a good family, so I don't have anybody to blame. Nothing bad happened to me. I lost my dad when I was 10. And that really that impinged, really messed, kind of threw me off. And so I was a good kid. 8 years old, my mom thought I was a loving, caring, kid. And then by the time I was 15, 16 years old, something had happened. And so I lost my dad when I was 10, got introduced to drugs when I was 15. The drugs weren't really the deal. I mean, drugs would become a problem for me, but really it was the year between 10 and 15, I was just lost, every day lost, like bored. Forced into the 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, forced into the system. It wasn't good for me.
Yeah.
And it's not good for a lot of people, I think,
So
but
forced into the system?
Well, I got to go to school every day. It's a system, right? Like I don't want to be in school. I mean, I don't think any kid wants to be in school, but it just didn't, I was probably smarter than the books I was reading. I mean, really, I'm saying that like not, I didn't know that then, but I was just bored. Yeah. Everything went too slow for me. I was bad. I was not good in school. My grades would not show that I was smart. I wanted to do something. And it was just that from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was just bored. And then when I finally got out, I got in trouble all the time. So when I got introduced to drugs, I was 15 or 16 years old, and then within a year, I was using drugs every day. Started out with just me and a couple buddies. But when I look back on it now, I'm like, there was just there was no leadership in my life. There was no mentoring. There was leadership and mentoring. It was just the wrong way. And so by the time I was 16 years old to 25, I was using drugs every single day.
You got a brother too, right?
Yeah, twin brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so did he follow the same path?
He's pretty much involved in the same stuff. I mean, we're identical twin brothers, so we're hanging out together, and both bored, both a lot of energy, both fairly intelligent guys.
Double trouble.
Double trouble, bro. Like, who can take it further? And so I've always had a lot of energy, like most kids have energy, But I lost my older brother when I was 20 years old. So I had, between 10 and 20, I had these two big losses. So both my male mentors were gone. And I kept waiting, like but when my dad died, I was waiting for an uncle to show up and help me. Anybody, I would have taken anybody's help. You could have walked up and said, "I'll help you, kid." I'd be like, "Let's go." And that's kind of how I went off the wrong path. There was no good guy saying, "Hey, let me be responsible for you."
Yeah, you followed the wrong guy.
Yeah. I would have followed anything. I went to college to find a mentor. I think I went to the drug dealer because I was like, I thought he'd be my mentor. It was just a weird thing, but so.
How'd you pull out of that nosedive?
Well, first I had to go to treatment. I went to treatment and got off the drugs. I needed an environment where I got off the drugs. I had to get away from the environment. The treatment center really, there's a lot of bad information at those treatment centers, but it got me out of the environment. And then it just got me around a bunch of broken people. But at least these broken people were not using drugs every day. I needed to get out of the drugs being available.
Yeah, that was step one, right?
Change the environment.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even admit that I was powerless, or that I had a problem. It was like, change the environment. I had to get out of the environment. I had to get away from the drugs. Had to get if you're addicted to sugar, you just got to take the sugar out of the house. So I made the first 3 days, I didn't even know where I was. Day 5, I'm like, what's going on? First 5 days in 10 years that I had been without drugs. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do this.
Whole new world.
Oh yeah, dude, I was like, people look at me today and say, oh man, he's cocky and he's this and he's that. They see the plane and da-da-da. Dude, nobody knows what's going on the inside of me, So that I was coming out of that deal just fragile, broken. The drugs were the least of the problems. It was my self-esteem was crashed. I had no money. I didn't believe in myself anymore. I had no confidence. I was in debt. I had lost, my reputation was damaged in the community I lived in. It was damaged with me. I was the black sheep of my family. Not even my family didn't trust me. I didn't trust me. And then so I made the 28 days and I went back. I was working in a car dealership and I went back there and turned my whole life around. That fast. No, it just, had to one day at a time, just turn everything around. Starting with, okay, I got to not use drugs and I got to start rebuilding my life. And part of that was just paying back the debts, of the damage I had done.
Yeah.
Cleaning up my past, so that when I looked at Mike, I didn't see Mike and, I screwed him.
Right.
Or my mom and I stole money from my mom. I'm like, I had to clean all that up.
You had to right the wrongs.
I had to write all that. And a lot of guys don't do that. Like I see guys that stay broken for long periods of time, even though they cleaned up. I'm like, dude, you got to go clean that up. Not for them, for you. I had people I went back to this guy that I had worked for him, but I felt like I'd stole from him because I didn't I was doing this side hustle while I was with him. And I said, look, man, I owe you a bunch of money because you paid me and I wasn't really here. And he's like, I don't need it. His name's David. He's like, I don't need it. I said, you don't need it. I need it. I need to pay this.
Yeah.
You do whatever you want with it. I have to pay this. And he's like, no, I don't want it. I said, bro, look, I'm leaving the money here. I need to leave it here. It wasn't for him. It was for me, you know?
Yeah.
So I could walk back there strong. And so I've just been slowly rebuilding my life. And, you know, today I've got 17 little companies that all do pretty well. A real estate portfolio that we're building that's going to one day be something, you know, really to be something to be proud of. And I'm trying to help people right now.
So on this show, we pull back the curtain. We explore, behind the brand,
What a great name for a show, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
One of my mentors, Seth Godin, would argue with me, I'm not a brand, I'm a human being. But I disagree with him on that side. I think that we are a brand, whether we like it or not.
100% agree with that.
And so how would you describe the Grant Cardone brand?
Interesting. So, I think people would I'm a sales guy. How do other people see it, or how do I see it?
I want you to describe it, because then maybe I'll give you some feedback of what I think.
Yeah. Well, so for me, when you ask me that question, I can't answer it without seeing other people's viewpoint, because I see from their view, probably before I see from my view.
Well, let's step back then, and before we go there, in your opinion, what is a brand?
A brand is something that's seared into the mind of the other side. So the brand isn't what I think it is; it's what you think it is. So
we agree.
Yeah, good. So seared like brand means I branded the cattle with my GC logo and said, hey, that's my cattle.
Yeah.
So that I have ownership and you can't steal my cattle.
Yeah, I think another way to say brand is reputation. And reputation can only be in the eyes of the others.
Yeah.
Because it's how you the experience you give them, or how you treat them.
Yeah.
And and it changes. It can change.
Yeah. So depending on where you met me, like over the last 30 years would pretty much depend upon how you see me. Some people see me as a sales guy. If you came out of the automobile industry, you know that I had a lot to do with changing the way they sell cars now. If you've met me in the last 3 years, dude, the guy's a social media influencer.
Right.
If you met me 10 years ago, you would be like, he's a speaker and a motivational guy. So it could be sales, could be, if you met me 20 years ago, you're like, oh my God, that guy's one of the best closers and negotiators. My information on closing and negotiating is just stellar.
Yeah.
Some people know me because I'm a writer, as an author, of books that are called The 10X Rule, Sell or Be Sold, Close Survival Guide, Be First or Last. Very, very polarizing kind of arguments. I think some people see me as a really aggressive, confrontational person. Some people know me as their uncle. So we did this gig here in LA. There was 3,000 people there, and 80% had never seen me speak live. They had only seen me online. So they think I'm this Instagram, YouTube
personality,
not real guy. Like people are like, I just had to see if you're even real.
Yeah.
And then other people know me because I'm a real estate investor.
Yeah. So
I don't know. What do you know me as?
I met another very dogmatic personality early on, Gary Vaynerchuk. A lot of people get turned off by him. He's polarizing. I instantly loved Gary. I instantly loved you too. I was like, I got to find out about this guy though, because when you peel back the onion a little bit, the message is important, but sometimes the delivery of the message doesn't resonate with everybody, right?
Yeah. No, I'm terrible at that.
But I also thought, that's not my style. Like, I'm more introverted, I'm quiet, I'm in my head a lot. But I get it, and I like it. And that was my first sort of introduction to the Grant Cardone brand.
Yeah.
And if you ask me today what I think you're about, I think you're about helping people live better lives. That's how I'd sum it up.
Getting ready to go in and do a meeting for my sales team. They're on the phone every day. They think I'm going in there to talk about sales.
I'm going in there to talk about money, because if you don't have your money right, if you're not thinking about money correctly, guess what? You're never going to make a sale. You're never going to push through the objections and the barriers and the hang-ups and everything that goes on in sales. It's a disappointing job. It's a tough job. It's a crazy job. It's like being an actor, okay? Why would anybody be an actor after they go on 100 auditions? Nobody ever picks them. They're like, I'm done. The only reason you want to do that is because you want to be a superstar. Okay, guys, so this is what I want to do. I want to talk to you about money today, not sales. All right. If you don't get the money right, you're not going to make the sale, period, okay? $1 million. Peter Thiel, $2.8 billion Peter Thiel said, the single-digit millionaire, you know what that means? Guy with $1 million, or 2, or 3, or 4, cannot even provide his family with proper defense, legal defense in America. Much less emergencies, divorces, major lawsuits, business lawsuits, issues happening, 2 kids going to college. So what he's saying is this, okay? It became a very, very controversial article because he's like, rich dude scratching fingers on the chalkboard, the slides, okay? Is saying, hey man, if you got $1 million, you're basically just a freaking deadbeat. And that your daddy didn't tell you that. Your daddy's like, oh man, $1 million, you and the money. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you today how to get through all this rejection and disappointment, discouragements, the hang-ups. You got to change the way you look at money. This is not money right here, okay? This is not money. This is just dumbness. This is you not making a decision. This is you being lazy, saying, man, $1 million and I'd be set.
Not a lot of people in your space with the amount of resources that you've got, limited time that you've got, will take the time and get real personal. And to me, that's what started to ring my bells. Like, this guy's getting personal. You start talking about your family, and then I started thinking about my family. I started listening, leaning in a little bit farther. Oh, this guy's not just trying to sell me something. He's trying to add value.
Yeah.
And there is value in the free information that you give. Yeah. And that's why I really started being impressed.
Yeah. And I am always trying to sell something. Like I need everybody to understand, like, don't be surprised when I try to sell something, because I am always trying to sell something.
Well, who's altruistic? We're all a little truistic. Like, we want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But it's got to make sense.
Yeah.
Even this show, we produce it pro bono, but I'm not doing it for kicks and giggles.
Right.
Right now you're seeing my brand.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm trying to add value to my audience by drawing out the wisdom and experience that you've got.
Yeah.
That's what this is about.
I think you make a point about, because there's a lot of guys that I know, like, that I've had on my stages that they're like, dude, how do you make all this time to do all this content you do?
Yeah.
So all that takes a lot of energy and effort that really doesn't monetize, but everything. I'm always trying to sell somebody on something, which means it's not always about money. It could be about, hey, use this to be successful, because if you are successful, you are going to tell somebody that I did this thing that this guy, you'll always associate it back to where you got it from if you're an honest person.
Yeah.
I used this thing this guy told me about. Or I went to this chiropractor and he gave me this crazy adjustment, right? And whatever it is, the success is worth more than the money.
Yeah, and everything and nothing has changed, right? I mean, back in the day, when you lived in a small town and the butcher already knows what you want before you walk in the door.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. He's the best.
He's the best.
Yeah, he's the best.
I love that,
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So for those who are maybe in your space of your caliber, what do you say to them? What is that? So why are you doing it? What's the return on the investment? Is it about trust? Is it about being there before the sale?
Well, it's just the way I do it. Like we have a huge product lineup, and I know guys that condemn the monetization, some of which you've already mentioned. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't have the products. It's easy for you to condemn it. You haven't taken the time or the energy or put in the work to create the products.
So you're talking about the conferences or the books?
No, I'm talking about more. I'm talking about systems people can get on.
Okay.
So like, not come to a conference. A conference is a lot of work, right? But no, come listen to me answer your questions for 30 minutes. It's the easiest thing anybody can do. It's the laziest speech in the world. What do you want me to do? Grant, I'll pay you 150 grand. Come answer some questions on stage. Let's go. Like there's no preparation. I fly in, sit down, ask me questions, I answer it. I've already got my money, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about people building out system. Hey, how do you buy real estate? What are you looking for? How do you find it? For me to build out a 40-hour real estate system that I sell for anywhere from $1,000 to $12,000, that takes a lot of energy.
Yeah. So it makes sense.
So all I'm saying right there is people should look for people that build systems to learn. I need to study something. I can't just hear something. Yeah. People are so lazy on their learning today. And we're making people lazier because of Instagram and Facebook, even interviews like this. People can watch podcasts, think they learned something. Maybe, maybe not. There's no system here because you're trying to get your audience to know me right now, which is the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, we're at the top of the funnel, let's face it.
Yeah,
right?
Totally top of the funnel, right? So if I'm going to study Warren Buffett, because Warren Buffett didn't create a system, then I have to actually build a system around Warren. So I'm going to go back and find Warren's first interview and his second one. I got to literally lay them out in chronology. That's how I study.
Yeah.
If I was going to study Vaynerchuk, I would study everything Gary's ever said in an interview because he doesn't have a system. So, and I want to see what happened. Like, how's he starting to change his opinion? Or Warren, what's Warren really saying? In all the interviews he's done over the last 20 or 30 years. And because I need to find out where I'm picking up a guy's data. Steve Jobs, at the beginning of Steve Jobs, if you could study Steve Jobs when he was 20, he was saying something different when before he died.
Yeah.
And then people need to calculate, hey, this is where I'm at right now when I tell you this piece of data, okay? He's like, money won't make you happy at the end of his life.
Yeah.
But that's not what he was saying when he was 20, right? So if you took that one thing when he was famous that he said, he already had his money.
Yeah. This is a super good piece of advice that I want to just underscore and make sure that we highlight, which is, first you got to consider the source.
Yes.
Right? So if you ask your parents, it's a funny story. My father-in-law will probably not appreciate me telling this story, but anyway, so when he was telling my wife, his daughter, giving her advice, career advice, when she was going through college, he said, you better take a lot of typing classes so you can be a good secretary. And she's like, secretary? I'm going to be running the business. But that was his mindset.
Sure.
And so it was limited,
Yeah.
right, to his experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And the era in which he grew up.
Exactly.
So you have to really be careful about who you're taking advice from and when.
When are you getting it from him?
Yeah, that's excellent advice.
Yeah. So Bernie Madoff, if you got information from him in the beginning, sounded really good.
Yeah.
But now you could throw it all away.
Didn't end up so well.
Okay. Same thing with anybody. Anybody that ends up in jail, doesn't pay their fees, doesn't pay their debts back to society. If you want to take information from them, like if that's where you are sourcing data, if you even value the data, and the guy's still a criminal and didn't clean it up, I'm telling people up front, dude, I did some bad stuff in my life. Like I fell off the train. I spent the last 36 years cleaning my mess up. So going from, hey, I'm knocking on doors, door to door for 3 years when I was in my 20s, 29 to 31 years old, every day knocking on doors on business owners. Hey, my name's Grant Cardone. I got an idea. Learning how to sell something door to door to where I'm at today to filling the stadium up. Like that's a cool story. To study Jay-Z, and see the transition. How do you go from drug dealer to peddling CDs, to filling stadiums, to wearing tuxedos with presidents?
Yeah, mogul.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the F word while we're on it, failure.
Yeah.
Or fear.
I didn't know we were going to go there, man. I thought you were going to drop the F-bomb on me.
Surprisingly, a lot of kids watch this show. I was at VidCon, that video conference, and I thought someone was pranking me. All these kids came up to me while I was there. I was like, hey, aren't you behind the brand? I'm like, yeah, you watching my show? Yeah. My teacher in high school wants me to watch this because, if I want to be an entrepreneur, I was blown away.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so, the power of the internet, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the failure, the F word.
Fear.
Fear and failure.
Yeah, fear.
Two things a lot of people don't want to talk about. Some people will say failure is not an option, but we all know that's bogus.
Yeah.
You've got to have failure in order to have success.
Yeah.
You've talked about some of your failures. You're an open book online. You just go back through any of your videos. Any given time, you're talking about a failure.
Yeah.
What do you think gets people stuck? You know, as you meet with all these people that you're working with, what gets them stuck?
Comfort. You know, being comfortable is the killer.
Comfortable?
Comfortable. You know. So.
You're doing the same thing over and over again?
Yeah, you're comfortable. It's easy. It's lazy. Particularly when you get successful. Like, you know, in America, the middle class is like the biggest problem in this country, in my view, is, and the biggest mistake I've made, two biggest mistakes I've made is number one, not going big enough, and number two, when I get comfortable, getting seduced by, I got my cars paid for.
Yeah.
My house is paid for, or whatever.
Complacent.
People like me. I'm in this little, you know, this little spot. People like me. They do business with me. I can get money out of it. It's not hard anymore.
Right.
Complacent.
Yeah.
And it is the killer of dreams.
Bill Gates talked about that. You know, always feeling like people are nipping at his heels. Could never feel satisfied.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Andrew Grove with Intel talked about being paranoid. Like I am constantly fearful. Like the fear thing, I use fear. Fear is not something people should worry about. It's something they should consume. Like you should eat it. Like I eat it. Like, hey, what am I most scared to do right now? Every time I've done the thing that scared me most, I had a big freaking spike in my life. Like a good thing.
And have you had one of those recently?
Oh yeah.
What is it?
This year was filling up that stadium with 35,000 people.
Did you have to pre-commit? You had to buy all the seats?
Had a $10 million check.
Yeah.
So, bang, here. I walked in the place, I looked at Miami Marlins Stadium. The biggest event we had ever done was 11,000 people. So I've done 3 events, 2,200 people, 11,000 at that time. And then I walked into Marlins Stadium and I'm like, how many people have been here? It was my fantasy to be a baseball player. So part of it was like, God damn, I'm gonna be able to do the baseball park dream that I had. I was gonna be a catcher. So I walk in the stadium, Marlins Stadium, and I looked around, I'm like, how many people will this fit? 28,000. I said, how many people have been in here? 28,000. Who did it? Joel Osteen. I said, okay, I'll take it. And the guy's like, huh? I said, I'll take it, and I want to clear off the field. How many seats can we put on the field? He's like, 6,000. I said, good. I want the entire stadium and the field. I made the decision that quick. And I said, I want it on Super Bowl weekend. And he's like, what? I said, Super Bowl weekend. He's like, why would you do an event on Super Bowl weekend? Because I'm freaking terrified. Everybody's telling me not to do it.
Wow.
I'll take the whole place. Wrote him a check for $10 million, filled it up. Everybody said I wouldn't do it. Now, the reason I did that was because I thought that was a brilliant marketing play. Personally, thought it was genius.
Were you just banking on there's a whole set of people that are not interested in the football
Totally,
game?
100%.
Yeah.
And number two, I won't have anybody to compete with except the Super Bowl. I have 16 executive staff in my company, 165 employees. If we did a poll, I did a poll with the execs, should I do this? 100% said, do not do this. It's too big and it's the wrong weekend. The stadium's too big.
Yeah.
I said, guys, we're gonna do this. Okay, so like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna fill it up, it's going to happen. If we pull it off, it will be the biggest brand lift. I mean, this is behind the brand, right?
Yeah.
I said, forget the money. They're like, dude, we're never gonna make the money back. We can't sell enough tickets for enough money. I'm telling you, we will be fine. We will be profitable the day we get there. I'd done the math on it. We just gotta sell the tickets. And I said, if we pull this off, we're not gonna make a lot of money on the deal. We will have the biggest brand lift that my name has had in 30 years.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we did it. I was in Singapore. I was in 19 countries this year because of that event. Hey, we want to see you here. Everywhere I go, Singapore, Dubai, London. You're the dude that did the 35,000 people.
Yeah. And those speaking events are probably 100K a piece plus, right? So you made your money back.
Plus.
Right?
Yeah. So those are good. But again, it's the brand lift. Money's one thing. Look, money comes and goes. But once you get a brand,
Yeah.
you either expand the brand, okay, because a brand can ruin you if you can't continue to grow the brand into other things.
Well, and if you don't walk the talk, Because you're all about 10x.
Yeah, but like AB, like Anthony Brown, he's got some brand issues right now, right? The Astros just lost both their coaches to this scandal. They're going to have a brand issue for a little while.
Yeah.
And so brand works both ways. So you got to keep establishing what that brand is. Usher's going to be at my event in Las Vegas. People will be, oh, he dances and he sings. He's not coming there to dance and sing. He's coming there to talk about business. So he's trying to expand his brand.
Yeah. Well, he's the guy credited with finding Bieber, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Scooter Braun's going to be there. That put the deal together between.
Yeah, the pass
Bieber.
off.
Yeah.
Pass baton.
So again, Bieber's trying to he's got to rebrand. So everybody's got this branding issue. It doesn't matter where you're at in the food chain.
Yeah.
Apple Computer's got a brand, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, what is it? Well, it was a computer with Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Tim Cook's done more for Apple brand than Steve Jobs did for it, right? Because now what is it? Oh man, it's iTunes, it's TV. So you got to keep. A lot of people, what they do is they become the executive and they become the successful guy. And they wrote 2 books. Okay, good, but who are you now? That's who you were.
Right. I like that. Let's go back to your answer to what gets people stuck. And you said complacency.
Yeah.
And?
I can't really fail. I mean, it's not possible to fail if I don't quit. As long as I'm still in the game punching.
Yeah. So let me change gears a little bit and ask you. Okay, so we talked about your brand.
Yeah.
We talked about your brand being, you're the consummate sales guy, you're the public speaker, you're the author, you're the front man.
The promoter, I'm always promoting something.
Yeah. What is it of those things that really lights you up the most?
I love real estate. Like real estate's like, I'll accumulate $2 billion worth of real estate by March or April of this year.
Is that through Cardone Capital? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like, the things that drive me, nobody really knows. Like my mom was worried about the bills every month, and I'm 12 years old, and I couldn't do anything about it. And it freaking just killed me. I didn't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
And I could not get, my mom was my best friend. I couldn't get her out of fear because I didn't know how to bring money in. I didn't really understand what was going on and why she was always worried about everything. You could just hear it. You could feel it. I could cut it in the room. It was in the atmosphere.
Well, I would argue that was trauma on you. You felt her stress. And that probably had a lot to do with your behavior.
Yeah, could have, because I couldn't contribute. I think people want to contribute.
Yeah.
And so the thing that drives me the most today, the reason we've opened Cardone Capital up to other people, it literally is the model that would have solved my mom's problems when I was 12. When we laid out the format for how we pay our investors, we pay every month. Every accountant, legal, financial people tell me, do not pay every month. It's too expensive. I'm like, yeah, I don't care if it's too expensive. It's the right thing to do.
So how does it work? I give you $1, you give me $1.20 back.
You give me $100,000. I'm going to pay you 6% a year, but I'm going to pay you every month, and I'm going to make you an actual co-investor with me. The middle class in America never gets a shot at good deals ever.
Right.
And in addition to you getting paid every month and you co-invest with me, you get all the tax deductions that the wealthy people get.
Yeah, so you're saying...
There's no middleman. And you are finally getting invested in assets that the wealthiest of the wealthiest get shots at. So it's the best property you could possibly buy.
And you're saying leave it to the experts. We'll manage your money better than you can, and you get the assets.
Well, I'm going to manage the asset. I'm not going to manage your money. I'm going to manage the asset, and the asset's going to take care of the money.
Yeah.
So I'm not managing money. Like I'm buying great real estate, and the money goes into real estate, and then it just sits there.
Yeah, or you flip it and you make a profit.
We don't flip.
Okay.
We're not flippers.
You keep it.
We buy great real estate that's going to be worth double and triple what to 10 years and 20, 15 years from now.
Let's talk about that because I watched that little selfie.
Oh, the Hollywood Hills thing?
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a video I lived up on Doheny in the Bird Streets.
Yeah.
The homes there are like 45 million, 35 million. It's insane. For those of you out there buying houses, you hear me all the time say, hey, keep your money out of houses. These hills back here behind me are just filled with $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $30 million, right? Let me see if I can point that, right there, 30, 35 million maybe, I don't know, it could be 40 million. It's ridiculous. Now that's gonna create the illusion on these hills. I used to live right there where those piney, let me see if I can get my finger right there. And I sold that house for $18 million. Made a bunch of money on it. That house is probably worth $30 million today, maybe more than that. I don't know. It's some stupid, ridiculous number. You can't even think with it. Dre lived right in front of me, and he sold that house for $30 million, the house in front of him. Elena, here's our house, our old house right here. And they scraped it. Now, all this creates the illusion for those of you who are hearing about housing and the guy that made all this money on a house. And, I almost never tell anybody I made money on a house because I don't want you guys to get the illusion. It's an illusion, okay? It's an illusion. In these hills, I'm going to predict this right now. In these hills, in the next 5 years, look at this. They're building one right there in the corner right there, okay? That's going to be maybe an eighth of an acre, probably a quarter of an acre, a 16th of an acre. They're probably going to spend $15 million to build that house. There's so much building going on in these hills right now. Trust me, you got money in these hills, run, sell it, grab your dough, and go to the stove. Because when this thing falls apart, the last time I was here, it was 2004. You couldn't give a house away between 2004 and 2012. You couldn't give a house away in these hills. When it breaks, folks, it will break hard, okay? It will be ugly. Nobody ever brags about how much money they lost in the casino. They just tell you how much money they made. Yeah. So these hills, the reason I said all this is these are terrible investments is they don't produce income. The place we're in right now produces income. It's a great investment.
Yeah, your whole philosophy is...
If it doesn't produce income, don't buy it.
Well, and you say rent where you live.
Rent where you live. It doesn't produce income.
Buy where you...
Four things I look for in an investment.
Yeah.
Now, I've been lucky enough in 30 years, like I have taken I started with $3,000. It's worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars today. It's ridiculous. My first deal was $3,000. That $3,000 started me on a $2 billion path. So four things have to happen for me to make an investment. Number one, I have to have cash flow. Two, there has to be leverage, meaning the paper, I trade a piece of paper, I want to leverage up to an asset. I don't trade paper for paper. I don't go sideways. Mm-hmm. I want $1 to become $3 or $4. Real estate does that. Three, I have to have tax write-offs in that investment. Stocks get knocked out. There's no tax advantages to buying a stock, a piece of paper. And the fourth thing I want is appreciation. I want a 99.99% chance that I have appreciation over the life of the investment.
And that's all real estate.
Well, Bitcoin's out. I just started excluding stuff. Bitcoin's out, okay? Ford Motor Company investment's out. I don't know if Ford Motor Company's going to appreciate. My company might not even be there in 10 years.
Tesla is the most profitable car company today.
Worth more than Ford Motor and General Motors, which makes no sense to me either. There's no way I'd invest in Tesla. I might use one of their cars, but there's no way I'd make that investment because it doesn't cash flow. There is no leverage. You put $500 in it, you get $500 worth of stock. Yeah. Could go up or down tomorrow.
Well, and if Elon's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the stock would go to freaking $50.
Yeah.
So I don't speculate on anything ever. And Bitcoin would be out. Bonds would be out. They don't pay me every month. Buying a house would be out. Doesn't pay me. If it don't pay me, I don't do it.
So let's transition then. I'll ask you a personal question. So you're married.
Yeah.
You got a couple kids.
Yeah.
Was there any translation from the way you do business with how you chose a partner, and vice versa? How did that all work out?
Yeah. So I found Elena. I moved up here to find Elena. Like I go places to find things, and this goes kind of back to the story. Like what traps people? Comfort. I lived in La Jolla, hour and a half, 2 hours from here, on the ocean, had a house smack dab on the sand. It's a little Playboy mansion. Get anything I want there.
How long were you a bachelor?
I was there 15 years.
Yeah. What age?
33 to 48.
Okay.
And get anything I wanted there, had it made, had one employee officed out of my home, woke up to the ocean, went to sleep to the ocean.
Living the life.
And one day I woke up, I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like, this is ridiculous. I'm unhappy. I'm not reaching for my full potential. I'm not getting challenged. I'm not scared. I'm comparing myself to the people around me. You did better than your dad ever did. Everything's about the past. Everything's about what I did, not what I'm doing. That's when I know. That's when I'm in trouble. I'm bored. I'm restless. I'm discontent. All the things all the signs. And I'm like, man, I need a game, dude. I need a game.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't have anybody to share my life with, which was just like a huge like vacuum in me.
Yeah.
A void, like no wife, no kids, no chance of having a wife or kids. I'm with a different person every day.
Let me take a little sidestep here and ask you about friends.
Yeah.
You know, you became very wealthy. Easier or harder to find true friends with more wealth?
Well, what happens is it's not easy. It's not harder to find, true friends. I mean, you can be broke and not have true friends, but what happens is the people around you start telling you how well you're doing. Man, you're doing good, dude. Why are you working so much?
Yeah, so it goes back to that complacency.
Like compared to where they are, you start comparing yourself to other people, you're done.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what other people are doing. I can always find somebody doing worse, and I can always find somebody doing better. So what happened for me was I had all these people around me that were like, why are you worried about working? Why are you always disappointed? Why do you always need more?
Right.
Why do you always? Why can't you just love yourself? Why can't you just be happy with where you are? I'm like, because I ain't. Because I know I can do more.
Yeah, it's just what I'm made of.
I sold that house. I put it on the market, sold it 30 days later, put all my stuff in a car, drove up here. Didn't know one person here. Never been to LA, never spent any time here. But I had an idea that my wife was here. Met her the first night I was here. She would not go out with me for 13 months.
For what reason?
Just didn't like me.
Not compatible.
Thought I was a dick and
Too arrogant.
and she thought I was a guy that got whatever he wanted. And I just pursued her and stayed with her and called her 26 times over 13 months and was very polite, professional.
Like your sales process.
Totally. Just put her in my system, man. And finally one day she's like, okay, all right, let's go out one time.
So you wore her down, okay.
Yeah, just finally wore her up, Told her the first call, I said, look, when people hang out with me, their life is always going to be improved. It was a terrible line.
Value proposition.
But it happened. It did happen. It was the big claim. And, so that's about not compromising. Picking that. It's the same thing with my investments. I don't compromise my investments. I don't try to buy low and sell high. I've done that. I got hit every time.
So how did you know that she was the one?
I don't know. I don't know that exactly, but it's kind of like real estate for me. When I walk on a piece of real estate, I know when it's the right one. I just have this tuning fork. That's it. I've known that about women, by the way. I've been with more than two women and known every time there's no way this works more than going to bed. We're going to go have sex. She's going to say no. She's probably going to have sex with me anyway. We're going to have a good time. We're going to go out 3 or 4 times, and it's going to end.
Yeah.
And they knew too, by the way. With Elena, I'm like, dude, she's going to have my children. I had not had that before, ever. So for a piece of real estate, like I can go look, you could drop me off right here in LA and I can look at, I wouldn't buy anything here. Bring me to Houston. I'll look at 25 pieces of property and all 25, no, it's not right. There's something out that's not right and I won't buy any of them.
Yeah.
And then I'll wander in that one property and I'll be like, this is the one.
So it's intuition, it's a gut thing.
It's experience. It's experience of looking for indicators about people and places.
Now look, Elena, don't bail on this. Okay, I'm going to ask you some hard questions. We're going to do the
shoot.
G&E show. We just got. You want to just fill everybody in where we are?
We are in beautiful Cabo San Lucas. Upon arrival, we had the whale show. Literally.
Hold on. You're giving them too much too quick.
You told me.
That's how I came on to you in the beginning. Too fast, too much, too quick. Hey, we're in Cabo San Lucas. Where were we this morning, Elena?
We were in Deer Valley, Utah.
Now, what I'm going to do here, because we're in the jacuzzi, okay, I want to reveal some inside stuff about me and E. You had no interest in me. You want to talk about that from the get-go?
None. Zero.
Well, you want to tell people
Zip
about
zero.
that? Like
Stingy with De Niro.
Yeah,
Might buy you Chris,
but
but
why?
that's about it.
Why weren't you interested?
You weren't my type.
Why was I not your type?
Well, I
All you
thought-
guys out there, listen to what she's saying. She was my type, but I wasn't her type.
Well, my type, I thought, was not a businessman.
So what is it? Let's unpack that a bit more, because
Yeah.
a common question that I get on this show a lot is, how long do there's this Think and Grow Rich book, right? And one of the analogies in this book is, he was 3 feet from gold. It's just telling the story of this gold rush, and this miner was digging in California during the gold rush, and he dug and he dug and he dug, and he ended up just quitting.
Yeah.
When in fact he was about 3 feet away
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
biggest gold mine in
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
Quit too soon.
Yeah.
So how did you know not to quit on Elena, right? Like, how did you
Yeah.
know when to quit, not move on?
Yeah.
What are some of the indicators?
Well, for me, they were like, okay, she was hot, but she was also like, she was interested in some of the same things I was interested in. I knew that, right? And the fact that I got her at a place where she wasn't interested in a relationship, she just wasn't interested at that moment. This is what I tell people: look, not interested is a level of interest. I gotta wait till she's at the right place, to where she's like, today I am interested in a relationship, not just me.
Yeah. So it's timing sometimes.
Sometimes it's just where she's at. Now that I understand that, because I remember where I was not interested, and I also remember where I was not valuable. You asked me earlier, hey, why are you doing these 50 cities for no money? And they're free. I remember when free was the only way I could get into something. I was a punk that would later become somebody. And every somebody's was a punk. Mm-hmm. So I just keep reminding myself, the little bit of humility that I show the world is because I remember being a punk, a nobody, right?
Yeah.
So Elena was just like, I'm like, I just got to keep bringing her up a little bit. My interest was here, hers was here. Me lowering my interest doesn't bring hers up. There's nothing cool about that. A lot of people won't show interest because they're like, I don't want to look like I'm needy, well, then don't look needy, but stay interested.
Right.
And so finally one day, boom, her interest popped up, But once you do that, once you finally get that relationship, that's probably the hardest thing in the world to keep working. Is that, as you know.
Yeah, and I enjoyed your video from the other day too, talking about weaknesses.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about that for a second. So you were opining on things that make you weak.
Yeah.
And why you should stay away from those things. You said, I don't hardly drink at all. I drank New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Woke up at 10 a.m. You haven't woken up at 10 a.m. for
Yeah.
the last year.
Yeah.
And so you got to be really careful with the things that you know that you're not good at or make you weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what makes you weak? Nobody's got that. What's the liability for you? Alcohol. I drink alcohol, I do things I would never do. Next thing you know, I want a cigarette. I can't drink without wanting a cigarette. I'm like, okay, I had a glass of wine, gotta have a cigarette.
By the
Who's
way-
got them Marlboros?
What's the story behind that big gorilla, by the way, smoking that stogie?
Oh, no, it's a piece of art I saw. I saw it at Art Basel. I'm like, I saw it, gotta buy it.
What is about that gorilla?
The gorilla, the thing about the gorilla is the gorilla can crush you. It can crush the skull of a human being with their hands. And they can also pick a petal off of a flower, I guess that, without damaging it. That is very much me.
I was going to say, do you identify with that?
Dude, I can be so gentle with my kids.
Yeah.
And then I can be a great friend, and I can be an enemy that you would never ever want. I can crush. Like I can go. To me, that gorilla that's done by No2, the graffiti artist, is the range of a human being. Like I trust people with range. Like I need to see a person's range, not the ability to be over here all the time, but the ability to go from 0 to 100, without any gimmicks. And so I have that. I have somehow, through the history of my life, developed the ability to go from laughing and having fun to like serious situation here.
Well, you were in Vegas when that shooting happened, right?
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking about when you just said that. 1 second I'm playing, the next minute I'm taking care of my family because there's a shooting going off in Mandalay Bay, and I'm prepared to handle it.
Yeah.
So
terrifying.
I'm in a deal. We're in a deal, negotiating a deal, and everybody's friends, and everybody's happy, and everything's cool. And then I discover something, and we're getting ready to have a $4 million discussion. And they have 3 lawyers, 3 accountants, and I'm by myself in a room. And I'm always going to go by myself in that room. So they'll have 7 people on that side of the table, and I'm by myself. Like I'm not bringing anybody, because I'm to them looking at it. Why didn't you bring people? And I'm like, why did you bring people? Right?
So it's
you brought people because you're not sure.
Yeah.
And I brought no one because I'm absolutely 100% confident.
Yeah, I can put the ink to the paper right here.
Yeah. So I'm in control of this deal. You guys got to check with each other. And so some of that is like
power dynamics.
Totally, 100%. It's a negotiating tactic.
Yeah, I like it.
But to do that, you can't do that. You can't just do that, and you can't pull that off without, like, you need some experience.
Yeah.
Which so many people are underestimating today. Like, I hear guys, influencers say, you don't need a job, you need to go work for yourself. You need experience, man. People need experience.
Yeah. Honestly, I think some of the best experience I got was when I was bussing tables.
Totally. Did you get fired from yours? I got fired from bussing tables.
I didn't get fired, but
yeah.
But I took a lot of shit.
Yeah. Nobody recognizes you. They don't acknowledge you. They don't thank you. It's like a thankless job.
Yeah.
I was fired from McDonald's, bussing tables, a refinery job, selling shoes, selling furniture. What else did I get fired from? A couple other jobs, but I didn't have anybody tell me to quit being a punk. Like, I was entitled at 16. I thought I was better than working at McDonald's.
Well, maybe you and I are a lot alike this way. I didn't grow up with a dad either. Uh-huh. And I think when you don't have someone to give you guidance, you just start venturing out on your own, and you just trial by fire.
Yeah, and mom could not. A mom can only do so much with a kid.
Well, it depends, right?
There's got to be a dad, man. Dads see things different than mothers. Mothers different than dads. I can help my kids in ways my wife can't, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's ideal. I don't know how single parents do it.
I don't either. They don't do it well. Bottom line, they don't do it well, because there's, if you look at families. I have a foundation, Grant Cardone Foundation, and we help kids without fathers. If you look at the statistics on what happens to kids without fathers, 6 times suicide rate, 12 times, I think it's 12 times alcoholism and drug addiction, 4 times incarceration. Schools are the less chance of graduating from high school or college. Like, the numbers just just fall off the cliff.
Yeah. Is that why you bring your daughters with you on tour and everywhere you go?
Yeah, because I want my kids to be with me. I want to be with them. I want to watch them grow up. I want to watch them get taller.
Yeah. But they're ballers. Those little girls are already out in front of big audiences, and
people are like, man, your kids aren't going to be socialized. You don't have your kids in schools. I'm like, dude, if my kids can avoid schools, I think they're going to be better off. I think they're going to be brighter. I think they're going to be faster. I think they're going to be. They don't hear some of the stuff that happens on the playgrounds.
Yeah.
They're not. Now, they're going to miss something, but everything's a trade-off.
Yeah.
They were in 19 countries last year.
Yeah.
That's different than being, at the same school for 9 months. They're going to miss something, but they're going to get something.
Yeah, it's different than studying about those 9 countries out of a book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So somebody said, you're ruining your kids flying them in a private jet all over the world. I said, okay, well, if I'm gonna ruin them, I'm gonna ruin them like this.
I think we agree on the amount of time that you invest is worth it. Because I think the greatest work that we'll ever do is the work that we'll do as parents.
Yeah, yeah.
That's probably the most important thing I'll ever do. That's my legacy.
If I did anything better, it would be to spend more time with them.
Yeah.
And I spend more time with my kids than just because the way we have our life set up. They're with me almost every day. So.
Well, it shows. Even on camera, you can see the bond that you've got.
Thanks for seeing me the way you see me, because most people don't see me the way you see me.
Really?
Oh, no, dude. Most people see me as arrogant, selfish, show off, conceited, bragger. Like the amount of freaking heat I get for showing my world. It's why so many guys hit a level and they quit showing anything. They're like, I don't want the heat. I don't want the opinion. I don't want the criticism.
You know what though, Grant? In my experience and my short life, the best advice I could give is, I think those people, misery loves company is a saying that's true.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who hate or they see, the negative side are only basically reflecting or projecting the way they feel about themselves. So they're unhappy. I'm not as rich as Grant. I don't spend as much time with my kids as Grant does. I can't get on a private jet like Grant. So it's this comparison game.
Yeah.
And then they start projecting
Yeah.
how they feel about themselves, which is unhappy.
Yeah.
When you can get to a place.
I've never met a hater that wasn't a quitter first. Ever. And I know that anytime I've resented somebody else's success or criticized it, it was because I envied it. But more importantly, it was exactly what you're talking about. I'm like, I haven't done that. He did that, I didn't. She did that, I didn't. I quit. They didn't.
Yeah. It's regret.
It's
poison.
Yeah.
So let's wrap this up and give me your best little nuggets of wisdom. Let's imagine that both of us go back when we're 18, 19 years old, because a lot of people who watch this show are just getting started. But I think, age doesn't matter. If you want to reboot your career and you're 50, great.
Yeah.
Give me some of your distilled tips for success.
Show up, clean up, show up. When you show up, show up. Now just show up. Like, you got a job you don't like, show up and be great at it. You don't need to like your job. Like, my whole life turned around when I quit looking for the perfect situation and said, hey, I'm gonna make the most out of every situation. So I'm gonna show up. I'm an introvert, I'm showing up, I'm a light up. Everybody's gonna know I'm here. And I don't need to be noisy and boisterous, but I need to be productive and I need to be successful. So I can either be noisy, ha ha ha, or I can be noisy because I put points on the board. Now I happen to be like noisy and put points on the board. Like, I'm gonna put points on the board and everybody's gonna know it, and I'm gonna bother you with it. Like, so however you want to do that. You want to quietly put points on the board, or you want to be noisy and put points on the board. Put points on the board. People are like, oh, you let your success speak for itself. Okay, Tom Brady. We all know the image of him showing his rings off. People are like, oh, Tom doesn't brag. Please stop it. Okay, look at this. So you got to put points on the board, and you got to let people know you put them on the board.
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell people: show up. You're sweeping, be the best sweeper. Be the sweeper that everybody's like, damn, dude, you should own your own sweeping company. If they're not saying that about you, you should own the whole company. You're the best mortgage broker I ever met. You're in network marketing. You should start your own network marketing, which you shouldn't, but you should be getting praise from people because of your work ethic. And you put points on the board. And that's what I would tell people. It doesn't matter what the job is. I would also tell people, look, find somebody that's already putting points on the board and go put points on the board with them. Look at LeBron. Comes to LA, came here for the limelight. I knew for sure he would leave. I'm like, he's coming, he's gonna go to LA. He's going there for the limelight. He's gonna go there for the money. He needs to get his money right. He couldn't get it right in Cleveland. It's impossible. And then he's going to surround himself with other players. And they're going to win something. So that would be the other piece. Like, leave where you are. That guy's left 3 times. He's going to end up with 3 championships, 3 different cities. People don't want to leave. He's like, I'm leaving Miami. I'm leaving Cleveland. I'm leaving. He'll leave LA. When he leaves basketball, it'll be to be a CEO of $1 billion company, and he'll have to learn new stuff. So, number 1, get great at something. 2, show up, light up the place. Put points on the board while you're doing it, and be willing to move. Be willing to move into something else.
I mean, we were just sitting back, chopping it up, reminiscing about the good old days and all that. Tracking my roots, where I came from.
I don't know what I think he had a fake one on.
You think?
I know for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he had, I think it's a 5301, but I think it was a fake.
During the game?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about whether that watch was fake or not. I wouldn't doubt it. But whatever, dude. This is the dumbest investment I ever made in my life.
It's like a $200,000 watch, right?
No, you can't buy this for $200. No, you got that about half wrong.
Really?
At least.
Wow.
There's 15 of those on the planet. That's number 10. Stupid. Completely, 100% ridiculous.
You get a shot of that.
Yeah. So when you buy something stupid, I'm not known for buying stupid stuff. I do have a rule about stupid. You can buy 2 of them with cash, out of passive income, and you need to admit to yourself it's still stupid. There's no making sense of it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Which one you want first? Either way you pick, the bad still gonna hurt you the worst. I never got to bask in the fruits of the labor, and I never got the cash from that dude from the label. I'm just thinking back.